So today we'll be doing the LG V40 versus the Pixel 3. Now for the front facing cameras, they all got the same megapixels, which is 8, except for the wide angle on the LG, which is down at 5. On the back, they all got the same megapixels, all 12, except for LG's super wide angle, which is at 16. So this is how it looks like on the wide angle lenses on both cameras. And I do want to mention that for the firmware, they are updated to the latest one. So this is the front-facing low light test to see which one is better in low light. There is no light source hitting me right now except for the lights on the buildings. So that is the only light that's hitting me. But let's switch to the wide angle. So this is the wide angle lens portion to see which one is better again. Looks like the LG is doing worse from my end, but yeah, let's move on to the next section. Straight out the bat, I would say the LG got much more vibrant colors than the Pixel 3. As shown, the red pops out much more on the bricks than the Pixel 3, where it looks a little bit more muted. The high dynamic range is really good on both, and in this picture, the LG looks like it's a little bit more saturated. With the LG V40, you do get a wide angle lens, which is great if you want that option. I think it's really good because I do love getting those epic wide moments. You can do telephoto, LG got their own lens, but the Google uses its software AI, which is really good and detailed as well. Using portrait mode for objects, they both do pretty good. I do like how LG tells you that the subject needs to be closer or not, where the Pixel doesn't really tell you when the effect is on. Another thing to notice is that the Pixel 3 gives you that telephoto look, whereas the LG looks like a wide angle lens, but the background's just blurred out. Front facing portrait mode, Pixel wins hands down. You can see a tree behind me on the Pixel, but with the LG it looks all blown out. For the wide selfie, same thing, all blown out with the LG in the background, and the Pixel 3 looks much more wider so you can fit more people in your selfie shots. Moving on towards the low light portion, I would say overall the images on the Pixel looks much more warmer than the LG. The Pixel also tries to correct the coloring as well. As you can tell, it's much more yellow on the LG versus the Pixel 3. The portrait mode on the Pixel 3 isn't always perfect. On the very left, you can tell that the tree is not blurred out, but the background overall I do think is more pleasing because of that telephoto look. The LG has a wider shot, so all you really need to do is walk 2 steps forward and you would get about the same image. Now with the LG, it is a wider lens, so your subjects tend to look more longer or skinnier versus the Pixel 3. Now in really low light situations, the Pixel does expose the subjects a little bit better. On the LG, you can't really see Darren's face at all. Now trying night mode on both of these cameras, there's a huge difference on the Pixel 3. It's more exposed, but there's a lot more artifacts going on. The LG does look more cleaner, but it is darker as well. Where I would place the LG V40's night mode is a step above Google Pixel's auto mode. So putting them side to side, Pixel's auto mode versus LG's night mode, I would say the LG is just a step better, but it's not too far off. Now moving to the 4K walking test, I would give it to the Pixel. It has a more locked on look and it has less handheld shake. As you can also tell, the image on the LG is much more wider than the Pixel. I would also like to point out that in the LG, I can tell there's a bit more green in the shadows. Even though the image on the LG V40 is a bit wider, you can still record video with the ultra wide lens. So when you're in tight spaces or you just want to capture the whole thing, this wide lens is really useful to have. The LG V40 can also shoot in 4K 60 FPS, which doesn't give you stabilization, but when you slow it down on your timeline, it doesn't look as bad as it is now. And when you're shooting cinematic video, you can also slow it down to get that slow cinematic movement. And I would always recommend having a gimbal shooting with 60 FPS because you can still see that jerkiness even when you slow it down. The colors on the LG is more vibrant, so if you're shooting a lot of greenery and a lot of just colorful things, the overall video will pop on the LG V40 versus the Pixel 3. So low light on the main cameras, they both look really similar. I can barely tell which one is better. They both jitter when your foot hits the ground, and sometimes the LG does it more, sometimes the Pixel does it more, so it's really hard to tell which one is better with the main camera. Now when you're recording with the ultra wide angle and low light, there's a lot more artifacts, a lot more noise showing up. It's not as bright as the main camera. So if you're shooting in low light, I would prefer sticking with the main camera. So trying this out with the 4K 60, I would say the overall image is a bit sharper, and of course it is darker as well. For the last test, trying it out with the ultra wide angle lens, definitely do not recommend. It is really dark, it is really noisy, and a lot of artifacts are showing, so I would definitely avoid this. So that is my comparison. Overall, I do think that hands down, portrait mode on the Pixel wins But for creativity, there's a lot more options for the LG if you're doing a lot more other things. So if you are the type of person that just takes a picture and move on with their day, the Pixel 3 is really good. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.